She walked into the night alone, a 22-year-old grad student with her whole life ahead of her. By morning, she was gone, and 3 days later, her body was found floating in a river. No arrest, no answers, just silence. This is the chilling story of Eliotte Heinz, a promising young woman who vanished from the streets of Madison, Wisconsin in the early hours of July 21st, 2025, and was found dead just days later. The deeper you go into this case, the more disturbing the silence becomes. Eliotte Heinz was not the kind of person you forget. Born in 2003, Eliotte had a radiant energy, smart, empathetic, and deeply curious. She was the kind of person who made others feel seen. A standout student at the University of Wisconsin-Madison, she was in the final stages of her graduate studies in environmental sociology, a field she was passionate about. Her professors often called her the future of sustainable advocacy. Friends described her as grounded and mature beyond her years. She loved hiking, art museums, indie music, and could often be found with a book in her hand and a journal in her bag. Eliotte had just moved into a quiet off-campus apartment and was juggling her thesis, internship work, and a tight-knit social life. She was close to her mother, Marianne Heinz, who lived just outside of Milwaukee and often called her at night to check in. Her older brother, Jacob, said she was the glue of their family, always texting first, always remembering birthdays, always giving more than she took. So when she stopped responding to messages on that Sunday morning, it didn't take long before the panic set in. Because Eliotte wasn't reckless, she wasn't someone who disappeared without a word. But on July 21st, 2025, that's exactly what happened. It started like any other weekend in a college town. On Saturday night, July 20th, Eliotte made plans to meet a few friends at Bronco's Bar, a well-known student hangout on University Avenue. Surveillance later confirmed she arrived around 10:30 p.m., wearing a forest green jacket, black jeans and white sneakers. She looked happy, relaxed, laughing at the bar. There was no sign anything was wrong. By 1:45 a.m. most of her friends had left. Eliotte stayed behind, not unusual for her since she enjoyed walking home late, often calling a friend or listening to music. At 2:27 a.m. a camera outside Bronco's captured her leaving alone. No one followed, no one approached her. But something strange happened next. At 3:22 a.m. a second surveillance camera, nearly a mile away closer to Lake Mendota, caught a blurry figure matching her description walking briskly down a side street. The lighting was poor, the angle unclear, but police later confirmed it was Eliotte. That was the last time anyone saw her alive. She never made it home. Her phone was never turned back on. And for nearly 3 days, there was nothing. No texts, no sightings, no activity on social media. It was as if she had vanished into thin air. By Sunday afternoon, Eliotte's friends were calling each other, asking if anyone had heard from her. When her roommate checked the apartment and found her bed untouched and no sign she'd been home, panic turned into dread. Her mother reported her missing around 5:30 p.m. on Sunday, July 21st, and by Monday morning, the Madison Police Department had launched a missing person investigation. Flyers went up. Her face was shared across social media. Students organized campus search groups. Local news picked up the story Monday evening. The hashtag #sign Find Eliotte began trending locally by Tuesday. But behind the scenes, law enforcement was already working quietly, combing surveillance footage, contacting rideshare services, interviewing bar staff, and tracing phone data. They knew time was critical, but they were already too late. At 10:12 a.m. on Wednesday, July 23rd, a city worker walking along a maintenance path by the Yahara River noticed something floating in the water. It was the body of a young woman. Authorities quickly secured the area, and by 1 p.m. it was confirmed. Eliotte Heinz had been found, just under 4 miles from where she was last seen. She was fully clothed, and there were no immediate signs of trauma visible on her body. The medical examiner withheld the cause of death pending toxicology. No wallet, no phone, no ID. Just Eliotte, silent, lifeless and far from where she was supposed to be. How did a 22-year-old grad student vanish off a busy street and end up dead in a river miles away, with no witnesses, no leads, and no suspect in sight? Before we go deeper into the investigation, we want to thank you for watching. If you believe that cases like Eliotte's deserve justice and national attention, please subscribe to the channel. It helps us keep her story alive and reach more people who may have seen something, know something, or feel something. Leave a comment, share your thoughts, and help us bring awareness to victims like Eliotte. After Eliotte's body was recovered from the Yahara River on July 23, 2025, the Madison Medical Examiner's Office began a full autopsy. The community held its breath, desperate for answers, hoping for clarity, fearing the worst. But what they got instead was silence. The initial statement from law enforcement described the condition of her body as undisturbed by external violence. No gunshot wounds, no visible stab marks, no blunt force trauma. She was found fully clothed. Her belongings, phone, bag, ID, were missing. Toxicology reports were delayed. A week later, the official autopsy results were released privately to the family, but a public statement offered only one vague conclusion. The cause and manner of death remain undetermined. Investigation ongoing. What does that mean? It means no one could definitively say how Eliotte died. Not yet. Not without more evidence. Not without the missing pieces. But the police weren't giving up. Detectives turned to Eliotte's digital footprint, her phone, social accounts, location history, anything that could help trace her final movements. But they hit a wall. Her phone went offline just after 3:23 a.m. on July 21st, almost immediately after the last known surveillance capture. That alone was unusual. Eliotte was never the type to power down her device. Cell tower pings indicated her phone briefly connected near Burroughs Park, close to the water. Then, nothing. Apps stopped syncing, location services froze, messages never delivered. One chilling detail emerged from a recovered iCloud log. At 3:31 a.m., Eliotte's phone attempted to access her Notes app, but there's no evidence a message was typed, just a sudden stop. Investigators subpoenaed app companies, requested backups, even traced the serial number of her iPhone. But as of late July 2025, the device has not been found. This raised a troubling theory. Did someone intentionally destroy her phone to hide what happened that night? That last confirmed sighting of Eliotte, 3:22 a.m. near a dark crosswalk by Lake Mendota, haunted both police and the public. She was walking alone, no cars, no people nearby. But one anonymous caller to the Crime Stoppers tip line claimed they'd seen a dark sedan parked in the area around that time, with its engine running and lights off. The witness couldn't describe the driver, just that it didn't feel right. Police canvassed the area and pulled footage from surrounding street cameras, but several cameras had missing frames. One had been offline for 4 hours that night due to a technical issue. That same street, a shortcut many students took home, had no motion sensor lighting and no city surveillance, a perfect blind spot. And just days later, graffiti appeared under the nearby pedestrian bridge. She never made it home. Whether it was from a local tagging artist or someone who knew more, no one knows. As of July 27, 2025, no suspects have been publicly named. Police have interviewed dozens of people, including bar employees and patrons, Eliotte's close friends and classmates, a former boyfriend she had recently blocked. Several rideshare drivers logged nearby that morning. No one has been charged. No arrests have been made. But according to internal sources, leaked to the Wisconsin State Journal, 2 individuals were asked to provide DNA samples voluntarily. One of them had scratches on his forearm and claimed they were from a dog. The police have not confirmed this report. Meanwhile, Eliotte's family has hired a private investigator to push for independent leads. They've also offered a $25,000 reward for any information leading to a suspect. But the trail remains cold, and every passing day makes justice feel further away. How can someone disappear and die in the middle of a city without leaving a single trace of what really happened? If you're still with us, thank you. These stories deserve voices, and victims like Eliotte deserve justice. Please subscribe to our channel, hit the notification bell, and share this video if you believe her case deserves more attention. You never know who might see it and who might come forward. Together, we keep her memory alive. On July 25th, hundreds gathered at James Madison Park with candles, sunflowers, and tears. Classmates read poems. Her family released white balloons into the sky. Photos of Eliotte's childhood, high school graduation, and college years were strung between trees. One sign simply read, "She should still be here." The mayor of Madison issued a brief statement calling for increased safety measures on university paths, while students demanded better lighting and patrols in known risk zones. But for Eliotte's family, none of that changed the fact that their daughter was gone, and no one could explain why. As the community tried to make sense of what happened, social media filled with speculation. Everyone had a theory. Some believed Eliotte had fallen accidentally into the river. Others suggested she had been followed, abducted, or even met someone she knew. The police, however, were clear: we are pursuing an active criminal investigation. That single sentence, short, careful, and deliberate, ruled out the idea of an accident. It meant they believed someone else was involved, but they also stated publicly that they had not found evidence of sexual assault, nor signs of robbery. There was no indication she was meeting someone through a dating app. Her toxicology report, while delayed, showed no heavy drugs in her system, just trace alcohol consistent with what friends described at the bar. So what did they believe happened? They wouldn't say, not directly. But their continued search for nearby vehicle footage, digital forensics, and witness interviews all pointed toward one thing: foul play. Eliotte's body was discovered in a particularly quiet bend of the Yahara River, where current tends to slow. Investigators said she was likely placed there intentionally, not pulled downstream. But there was one issue. According to the local water authority, that section of the river isn't easy to access. There are no public boat ramps nearby, and the shoreline is steep with thick vegetation. This isn't a place someone would randomly end up, especially not in the dark, in the early hours of the morning. So how did Eliotte end up in that spot? One theory investigators quietly explored: could someone have used a canoe or small watercraft to move her? Local rental shops were contacted, dockside security footage was reviewed, a kayak was reported missing from a nearby private residence just 3 blocks from where Eliotte's body was found. That kayak was recovered 5 days later, half sunk in reeds 6 miles downstream. No fingerprints, no blood. But the timing raised eyebrows. The resident who reported it stolen. He wasn't home that weekend, he was out of state. On July 26th, a digital analyst reviewing Eliotte's school laptop discovered something strange. Her cloud backup, which had been regularly syncing all semester, suddenly stopped syncing at exactly 3:32 a.m. on July 21st, just 10 minutes after her last confirmed sighting. What's more, a single folder had been deleted shortly before the sync ended, a folder titled Personal Private. The file can't be recovered, not fully, but metadata shows it was last accessed by an unknown device, not logged into her iCloud. Police now suspect someone else had access to Eliotte's credentials, or her physical laptop. And then came a tip. 2 days after the deleted file discovery, a message arrived in the inbox of the Justice for Eliotte tip page, an account managed by her family's attorney and private investigator. The message was short, untraceable, no email address, just a text form through a Tor-routed site. Check the woods behind the observatory, it's not just the phone that's missing. The message was forwarded to police immediately. At 6:15 a.m. on July 27th, Madison PD and FBI agents began a grid search of the area surrounding the Washburn Observatory, just east of the university campus. At 9:03 a.m., a discovery was made, a set of partially burned belongings buried in a shallow pile of leaves A damaged phone case, a journal cover with Eliotte's initials, a charred corner of what appeared to be a map printout, one torn bracelet, identical to those Eliotte's friends had made at a sleepover weeks earlier. DNA tests are ongoing. Investigators say these items appear consistent with things Eliotte was last known to have on her. But who left them there? Could this be the breakthrough the case needs? Or was it a deliberate misdirection? Before we continue, if you believe Eliotte's case deserves more attention, please subscribe to the channel. Hit that like button to boost visibility and comment below if you've ever seen a case where justice felt this far away. We need your voice. Her family needs answers. Let's bring her home with truth. While reviewing hours of security footage from bars, sidewalks, and parking areas, a Madison PD analyst noticed a pattern. In two separate clips taken at different times on the night of July 20th to 21st, both in locations near where Eliotte was last seen, a man wearing a dark beanie and hoodie appeared briefly in the background. At 2:57 a.m., he is seen leaning against a building near Bronco's bar. At 3:19 a.m., he walks across the edge of a park just 400 feet from the surveillance clip of Eliotte. His face is partially obscured. He has not been identified. The footage was enhanced and a still image released by police. So far, no tips have led to a positive ID. Could he be a witness, a bystander, or something more? One thing is certain. The timing places him near Eliotte's path, twice in a 30-minute span. As of the end of July 2025, protests and peaceful gatherings have taken place near the Capitol and the university. Students are demanding transparency. Local groups are asking the Department of Justice to assist. Flyers with number sign Justice for Eliotte now line every lamppost in the student district. A mural has been painted downtown, her smile framed by sunflowers. Yet still, there's no resolution. And those closest to Eliotte say they're losing faith in the system. Her sister, Lena, posted a heartbreaking message on July 28th. She loved this city. Now I walk its streets and wonder if her killer is walking past me too. As of late July into August 2025, the case of 22-year-old Eliotte Heinz remains open and unsolved. Authorities confirm no arrests have been made, no suspects have been named publicly. The case is now being handled jointly by the Madison Police Department and the FBI's Behavioral Analysis Unit. A task force has been established, involving both local and federal resources. The Heinz family attorney told media on August 5th, "We've received no closure, no answers, only silence and speculation. This cannot be the end of the story." The reward for information leading to an arrest or conviction now stands at $100,000, funded through community donations and private contributions. The message from law enforcement is simple. Someone knows what happened to Eliotte. We need them to speak. This case remains unsolved but not forgotten, because there is one thing louder than fear, one thing more powerful than silence: love. The kind of love that keeps searching, that keeps asking, that won't give up, no matter how long it takes. If you've watched this far, thank you for giving Eliotte your time, your heart, and your awareness. Please, don't scroll away without helping. Subscribe to support victim-centered, true crime storytelling. Comment your thoughts. You may see something others miss. Share this video. Someone out there knows something. And to Eliotte's killer, if you're watching, you're running out of time. Do you think Eliotte knew the person who took her life? What detail stood out most to you? And could it be the missing piece? Let's talk below.